Okay, well, I'd just like to echo a few of the things that Congressman Blumenauer has talked about, and I'm going to just say a few words before we introduce our next speaker. The situation for infrastructure in the United States is truly dire. We have a broken system. Congressman alluded to the American Society of Civil Engineers rating of D- for our infrastructure. And the estimate of the amount of money that's needed to repair it is $1.6 trillion. So if you take a look at the big situation in the United States, we have in many ways, notwithstanding the current crisis, an incredibly dynamic system. We're very good at certain things. We're good at spawning new businesses, new industries. But as we look to our economic future, I think we have to recognize that other countries have become much better recently at creating the basis for future growth. And some of these great infrastructure investments that the United States has done over the centuries, the Hoover Dam, the internet, the interstate highway system, notwithstanding its impact on regional growth, have really powered waves of prosperity. But if we look at who is making those investments today that will power the next waves of global prosperity and will bring prosperity and wealth and well-being to the citizens of their countries, we cannot really point to the United States. The big investments are not being made here. They're being made in China, in India, in the Gulf. And so we have to kind of figure out what is it that we're not doing correctly and what can we do to improve it. Well, one of the problems is that our system of financing infrastructure is not working, and our system has been heavily biased in favor of earmarks and the annual appropriations projects, and we don't have a good system for undertaking large, long-term projects of the type that we see in other countries. Also, on the private side, we have not really taken energy efficiency into our calculations. So, for example, and I think we're going to be talking about this in a little bit, much of the housing that was built during the recent housing boom was not really energy efficient housing. So as we go about creating a new 21st century economy, we have a tremendous opportunity. Certainly recognition of these issues has reached perhaps an all-time high in the United States. We have a new administration that has made this a priority. And we really have to go about creating a program to make these long-term investments and also get people to make private investments that are energy efficient and will create that high productivity, low carbon physical plant we need to proceed. As Congressman Blumenauer mentioned, the stimulus package that we're looking at basically reaching the floor of Congress in as little as several weeks is really a once-in-a-century opportunity. This is a huge opportunity. But I just want to call your attention to what currently seems to be some of the things about the stimulus package that we might look at in terms of making it work a bit more effectively for the future. The stimulus package is very much about doing something to quickly stimulate the economy, but on the other hand, as we at NDN have argued, it has to work for the long term as well. So if you look at the way it's being structured, some of the investments will be long-term. Some of them, such as tax cuts, are designed to work in the very short term. But I think that there is a possibility that once this package is enacted, people may sort of stand back and say, as the boat leaves, and say, there it goes, and a year from now we'll evaluate how it works. So one proposal I just want to put forth before you today that we at NDN have been advocating on behalf of is that a portion of the stimulus be held back, if you will, in some form so that we can perhaps make corrective changes and there can be some discretionary authority over the next year as we see how the money rolls out of the economy, so that if we need to make changes, if we need to fund new projects, that flexibility exists. So we are advocating that the board that the President-elect has suggested to supervise and also audit and otherwise oversee the stimulus package perhaps have reserved for it some amount of money that could be used on a flexible basis. So I just want to put that out there as something to think about as we go forward. Now, we're very lucky today to have commenting on the situation two real experts on transportation and regional economic growth that can add to what Congressman Blumenauer talked about a little bit earlier.